we knew we could do it. It's just getting there.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to go back to here.
Grand
Okay,
Central Station.
We are live here. So I just wanted to welcome everybody today. We're going to be talking with Rob and Scott. I'm going to get you guys to introduce yourselves in just a second. But today is all about, I know I put it in here. Rob was just joking, saying from stupid to smarter. But really, it's about you guys getting an awareness of how you can make your business better. It's one thing to hear, oh, this person, from another contractor, oh, this guy's doing well, that guy's doing well, but how the heck are they doing well, or are they really doing well? We do these sessions to go behind the scenes to, the Champion CEO family, to let them know, here's the tools that work for them. Here's, how they applied them real time and the results that they're getting with them and how it's changed their life and how they look at their business different. And for those of you that are joining in that aren't part of the Champion CEO family, it's to give you guys, a light, I think, I don't want to even say hope, but of reality that this stuff can happen, not just for Rob and Scott, but for anybody that's willing to raise the hand, do the work, and take these strategies and principles and put them into play. So without further ado, Scott and Rob, you guys, let's introduce yourselves. So we'll start off with you, Scott, a little bit about your family, a little bit about the company, and then, pass over to Rob, and then we'll keep rocking and rolling here.
Yeah. So my name is Scott Cleater, co-owner of Lumos Electric here in Ottawa. I've been in Ottawa for about 10 years, originally from Muskoka. And I started working with Rob right from the start back in 2010. So it's been a journey since then, and lots of stories since the beginning, and now we're here. So it's great.
Cool. I love it. And you got a little munchkin on the way?
Yeah, a little one on the way, which has not been without its challenges, but it's coming along. So August is going to be a busy month.
Yeah, man, for sure. And we'll talk about that as well, right? We'll talk about, this isn't just about the business guys, it's about how this stuff affects us personally too, right? Rob, you're up the bat, dude. Tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about, your role at the company, and a little bit about Lumos.
Yeah. The name's Rob. I moved from western part of this country back into Ottawa because my daughter turned me into a grandpa. So I decided to give up my career there and come here. Got in with a company, an electrical company, and managed it for about 8 years. And that's how I got to know Scott, because I trained him, apprenticed him through, put him through the apprenticeship. And I saw some potential there and thought, hey, maybe we'll partner up. And away we went.
Nice, man. Nice. I love it. Quick side question. If you had to pick who's Batman and who's Robin, who would be who?
No,
you're both wearing tights.
I'm the butler.
Oh, I love it. Okay, who would you be, Scott?
Well, we're using all of Batman's gadgets, I think, with all of the tools and infrastructure we're putting in. So I guess we're both kind of like Batman in that sense.
I love it. Okay, cool, man. Great. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about, guys, and everybody listening in. We've got structure to this, right? And when I say structure, there's an agenda. There's a process that I'm interviewing these guys. It might seem like, hey, man, you're just sort of going through it. Well, we're going through it because there's a structure, it's a system, and there's structure and systems so that we can provide the most to you guys. So with that being said, we're going to talk about the challenges that these guys had. We're talking about like what made them sort of raise their hand and go, man, I need some help on this. And then we're going to talk about what were some of the solutions that they've applied, the results that they've gotten, and the impact that's had, and relate it back to going from the past to the present and what's the future look like. So with that being said, so ask away, anybody that's attending this live, ask away. I should be able to see your questions. We'll do our best to try and pause a few times throughout this and try and get some of your questions addressed, but please participate. So what were some of the challenges, guys? And And by the way, challenges can be a different perspective because we got two. You guys are partners, right? So give us some of the challenges that you guys had before you came on board as Profit for Contractors.
If I had to put it in a nutshell, it was, we felt like we were running what we deemed to be a successful company, but not feeling like we were, not the rewards, but just it wasn't doing what we thought it should. We thought we were doing all the right things, and we weren't getting enough out of it or seeing the company grow to where we thought we should be.
I think basically what we were two companies. When we started, we started, and each person had its own, you know, set of people you were working, clients you were working with, and it ended up like it was like we had two individual companies under one umbrella.
Yeah, I'd have my jobs, Rob would have his. We had an apprentice whose head would spin because he was jumping between the two and scheduling mix-ups and crossovers. It was just,
and also I think we were just messing up in terms of scheduling because we were trying to be, you know, compassionate to the other person, make sure that they had the time to do their jobs.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Okay, let's just as we go through this, my job is to call a spade, right? You talk about things not really given, the business not really giving you what you wanted. You know, you talked about, Scott, you mentioned to me this morning, you're talking about when you first started, it was like minus over $30,000 negative, right?
Yeah. And that was, you know, not the ability not to pay ourselves was tough, right? Because I'm planning for the future. Rob's planning for the future. Opening a business where you've left behind the guaranteed paycheck every week,
yes,
was a tough thing. We knew it, we understood that was sort of part of it, but as I said, putting the amount of time and effort we did into the business and not having it come back was frustrating at times. So yeah, being down that far in the profit numbers was scary because there didn't seem to be any way to kind of get out of it.
and you know, here's the funny thing, right? You go from working for somebody making money to not just working and trying to make money, but running a business, right? Like now you're wearing so many hats, both of you, right? You know, and it becomes, you know, even that much more challenging. I mean, Rob, you know, I know, you know, you had no intention, same as Scott, to have a lack of communication. I mean, who wants to have a lack of communication, or who wants to actually not make any profits? Who wants to not pay themselves? I mean, right, Rob? Like,
and having no time at the end of the day, like you're going.
yeah, totally, right? Right. But you wake up the next morning and it's like, holy shit, this is not a good Groundhog Day all over again, right?
Yeah.
Right. So if not worse, right? So, you know, when you looked at this losing these profits, it wasn't due to a lack of effort. Would you say that's true?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We were trying kind of every little avenue we could find. Just we weren't frustrated at each other by any means. It was just we were both trying to put our heads together to figure it out, and there just didn't seem to be any real solutions that we could come up with that would stick. You could try things for a bit, they make minor changes, but then you're just sort of back.
You didn't see things moving forward.
Yeah, totally. And again, type of work that you guys do, you're electrical contractor, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Residential and commercial.
Exactly. Beautiful. So you guys like do, you know, Generac generators, you know, give me an example of like just a couple of like, you know, typical A grade clients or jobs that you guys would do.
A lot of like, we work with lots of contractors. That's, as I said, about 90% of our business is repeat clients that the job just arrives kind of to us, which is great. And so kitchens, bathrooms, basements, that's kind of our big thing.
Okay, love it.
Yeah, pot lights. Rob has a good long history background in lighting and cinematography. So that's been a big selling point for us, is the knowledge.
What was some of the struggles that you guys had from the perspective of, you know, like as an example, and we're going to get into some of these strategies that you guys applied, but what were some of the struggles as far as like whose role was what, you know, who should be doing what? Should you both be out in the field? Should you know, you split the things that go on in the office? Tell us some of the maybe not the clarity that was lacked for you guys?
I think we were doubling up on things a lot, and missing things and forgetting things, and because we were sort of running around, getting to know what each of us can and can't do, we were just kind of scraping by, and I think we were missing a lot of stuff out there that we could have picked up on.
And leaving a lot of money on the table.
Yeah.
Because we'd have sort of our general pricing, but never have it nailed down. So Rob would quote a job, I'd quote another job, but the profits or lack thereof could have been two totally different things.
Yeah, totally.
So then streamlining it into, we both go look at jobs because we all can't be everywhere at once. But then writing it down and then having the quoting process kind of funneled down to me in this case.
Well, I know in the beginning, one of the biggest challenges that most contractors have when they come to us is, it's very common that like I said, there's no intention for people not to want to communicate, but there's a lack of roles and responsibilities, right?
Yeah.
There's a lack of, this ability to know for certain that you're quoting a job profitably, and we talk about knowing your break even, we'll get into that, but I mean, tell us a little bit about that. Had you figured that out, or you're like trying to figure things out? You didn't, where were you at as far as knowing whether or not you're profitable or not in quoting jobs?
For the profit, where our profitability was at?
Well, no, I mean, like, what was your insight? Like, were you like, man, I hope I'm profitable in this, or like, had you calculated, when people start with us, like you guys, it's like, okay, one of the first things early stages is like, guys, you got to figure out what your break-even margin is. And I know a lot of people are like, what is that? What are you talking about? Right?
No, it was all sales driven. It was, what is that top number going to be at the end of the year? And that's all
Sales.
Yeah.
Sales.
Yeah, and the whole thing was like everything came to a head when like Scott's going through the numbers and stuff, and then we have our meeting, and we, hey, listen, we're making a lot of money here, but we're not really seeing a lot. So what's going on here? And so that's where we were, well, maybe we should start doing something here about this.
Mm-hmm. And it's like a mystery, right? Like,
yeah.
It wasn't that you didn't want to find out. You were just like, Scott.
Where's it going?
Yeah.
It's disappearing.
Yeah, like exactly. Where is it? Like, it's like a magic show, right?
Yeah.
Hey, you're getting more sales, and then the bank account's like, wait a second, why? How's that negative?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're not even paying yourselves at this stage. Okay, so and I think that's a big factor. I mean, I know some of these answers because we've been working together and helping you guys get results. But for anybody listening in, if you don't know your break-even margin, you need to figure that out. And one of the key factors in knowing your break-even margin is that you have got, and I'll get you guys to just allude to this, like, if you're not paying yourself, if you're not, taking that in as a factor of pricing jobs, no offense, you guys, but tell me if I'm right or wrong, you're working for less than nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't that, hey, that's the American way, isn't it?
Right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
No, I'm only kidding.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not fun.
No, it's not fun. I'd say it's the American and the Canadian way.
Yeah, I guess so.
The debt. Yeah, every government's like, how can we spend more than what we have? Oh, that's a great idea. Crazy. But anyways, that's another discussion. So let's look at, if you look at some of these changes, I'm just going to go through each of these things, then we're going to talk about the solution, okay? So you didn't know whether or not you're quoting jobs profitably. So you came in the proper contractors, and for all those part of the Champion CEO group, I'm going to be very specific with the tools that I want you guys to reference, okay? You guys can help me out. Cool. All right. So one of the areas that we got to look at is knowing what our break-even margin is. And for those listening in, if you're new to the PFC family, that is knowing what you have to put on your costs. So as a percentage. So if you're going to go quote a job, cost you $1,000, $500 in material, $500 right in labor. What percentage do you need to put on that just to cover enough for your overhead, your own salary, all those fixed expenses, right, guys?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. we miss out on that. And what's the danger?
Just you're losing money. The company is paying to work, basically. Like the client isn't paying you. The company is losing money every day.
Exactly. And Rob, I know you're really, really good at the trade. I know that you're really good at running a job and being, knowing what's got to get done, knowing what the steps are. But Rob, let's just call a spade a spade. Scott goes and quotes a job, and he quotes it not profitably. It's in the red. What chance in hell do you have of, no matter how good you do,
Yeah.
what's the net result going to be?
Negative.
Yes. Guys, pay close attention to this. If you don't get quoting your jobs profitably right, you're screwed before you even get on the field.
Yeah.
No matter how good or how hard you work, right, Rob?
Yeah, well, you go in knowing you're already lost, pretty much.
But
Yeah.
like it's terrible. Okay, so you guys figured out your break-even margin. Tell me a little bit about how that changed things. How did that change how you guys communicated? Yeah, especially you, Scott. How did it change how you quoted jobs? Tell me about that.
Yeah. So for the first, I would say we joined in October of 2019, and for the first month, I kind of dabbled a little bit in it, and then started to notice the changes. And so I really started to hammer it down. And what I would do is then we had a unit price list from before. That's what we used, but we just kind of came up with that stuff from previous experience.
Right.
Then I started doing the actual job by job breakdown. Okay, this material, we need this much material in this job. I think it's going to take this many man hours. And then I would compare it to where our unit prices were, how we've been quoting. And you're losing out on let's say we charge $450 for a couple of pot lights, when really it should have been like $750. That's just on like 4 or 5 pot lights. Take that into a 30 pot light job and just think of how much money we're losing every time we go on a job. So it worked well because we had a base in the unit pricing, but we were able to adjust them. It wasn't a brand new concept. The finding out the actual profitability was brand new to us, but then building on what we had already established was great, because we knew, okay, this needs to change, that needs to change.
I love that you brought this up, because anybody that is using book pricing, I want you to really get this point. I'm just going to emphasize it. I don't give a shit how good of a book price, booklet you've got. It does not dictate what the break-even margin is specific to your business. So Scott and Rob's business, compared to somebody that's got 50 trucks and a 10,000 square foot bay, it's going to be very different than somebody that's got 2 or 3 trucks. Yeah, but I'm using the book, and it's the same as the other guy's book. Big problem. Would you agree, guys?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Big problem. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so break-even margin is huge. Love it. Okay, next thing I wanted to talk about. And again, that's so demotivating, right? To go and work so hard. And I'm sure, Scott, to see Rob working so hard with the crews and stuff like that and go, we didn't make any money.
Yeah. And that stress, it's stressful on both sides, right? Because I'm sitting there looking at the numbers going, what's happening? And Rob's going there, why is Scott so stressed? Like it changed a lot of things when we started making the right decisions and the right tools and systems.
I love it. Okay, so next I want to talk about, again, let's get right down and dirty into some of this stuff. So we're looking at systems, right? Rob, on your end, you're familiar, both of you guys are now familiar with Trello. I'm not saying it's the end all, the be all, but we use, when we're looking at software, right? Like knowing different checklists, knowing different steps. I mean, Rob, you look at, as a fellow electrician, it doesn't matter what trade is listening in on this. There's a lot of steps to do a job, isn't there?
Oh yeah. And from my past, like Scott said with the cinematography, I used to gaff on movies, so I had a lot of crew and stuff. So I brought not systems, but the way I did jobs in organizing, I brought that with me into the field. But when I explained to Scott what I was looking for he would go out and find the technology to figure that out. And when Trello was introduced, he introduced it from his wife, I guess.
Yeah, originally,
from Lauren.
Yeah.
And I went, wow, this can be really helpful with all these steps. And the guys we don't even have to talk to them anymore.
Well, you know, it's incredible. And this is the thing, right? And again, those are part of the PFC family, okay? They're part of the Champion CEO group. I just want you guys to, and Scott, you tell me right or wrong, right? You guys, there's amazing training in there on Trello, right? There's Peter, right? Peter McGrath, who's talking about on plumbing and how to use it. You know, there's so many different aspects, from tracking your tools, guys, right? Like checklist for tracking sign out of tool.
Yeah.
What else, Scott? What were some of the areas that you
so like with Trello, we've got kind of a systematic flow to our Trello board. So we have quotes and callbacks that I need to make to reach out to clients. Then there's the jobs, we color code them. So there's waiting to hear back from the client. There's need to follow up with the client. There's accepted, turns green. It then moves over to jobs upcoming. So we remember, okay, these are coming up soon. They then move into jobs on the go, then completed, and then, permits. So that Rob, he calls for all the permits, and he knows exactly which jobs need to be closed up and permit scheduled. So there's a good flow, and then useful tools like under cabinet lighting order forms. So there's a lot of parts we have to order because we custom make all of our lighting. So our guys can go on, or I can go on, or Rob can go on and just type in, okay, I need this, this, and this, and send it off to me, and it's ordered. And
or if I send a crew, they just look on Trello to the job and they know what's needed to finish the job.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So, you invested time on creating systems. And again, you didn't have to also, reinvent the wheel. You were able to leverage hey, wait, I can use Trello like such and such says, and such says, right? So, guys, and then you put it in the play. And how, I get a lot of people saying, guys are going to follow systems. Rob, what would you say to that? Like, honestly.
Guys are what?
I hear people go, my guys don't want systems and stuff. Would you say that's a little bit?
Then you're not a good leader.
Nice.
Yeah. Because basically you're trying to make their job easier and less stressful. So that's how you go about teaching them is to get rid of the stress for them.
I love it. Okay.
And funny enough, side story, Rob doesn't know this yet, but today I've been discussing our main apprentice, Matt. He's a 4th year. We've trained him from the beginning, and he's been amazing. And we've given him some projects to do, like the Instagram account and whatnot. We're slowly getting that kind of transferred over to him. He came to me today and said, we had him actually in our shop here, come in the other day. We were a little slow, organize the whole place, make out an entire list of our inventory in the shop, because that's been clearly successful for people. Well, then he calls me and says, can we get a program or an app that makes it easiest for all of us to kind of see and manage it and do it all? And so he went out and found some apps, and there's obviously some through the PFC training that we can look at, but they're buying in. That's what you need, is your guys to buy in.
Yeah, he's an employee and he's wanting to help.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting that, if you never gave him the opportunity, he never would have come to you. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the right people thrive off responsibility. The people that don't want to buy in, they're there mostly for a paycheck.
It's a cultural mindset. Liam actually put something in here. He goes, I want to hear about how Scott changes mindset. And we're sort of jumping ahead to mindset, but that's okay. We're going through these box by box. How did Scott change his mindset about investing into his business and working with a coach, even when he was in debt? I mean, that's a good question.
Yeah, it was something that we had talked about opening the company for a long time, like a couple of years before we did it. And once we started, the coaching part, it was in the back of my mind. I'm like, I'm a person of comfort. Like, I need to know that I'm doing the right thing or the right job.
Yeah.
And we had looked at PFC. I had looked at PFC a long time ago when we first sort of started, and I kind of put it on the back burner.
How long ago?
It was probably almost a full year before we joined.
Yep.
And I had seen it on Facebook and watched
Yep.
all the videos, did a webinar, and put it on the back burner because I said, I'm not sure. I don't think we can afford this. And then we were having all those struggles. We met up with some like business coaches in the city, and they kind of were talking more like just HR and different things like that. It wasn't exactly what we needed help with. So then I circled back around to PFC, and since then, you know, the investment in PFC has been return is like double fold. You know, it's been amazing. And right down the mindset that Liam's kind of asking about is, we used to get really stressed out. We both did. Like this time of year is a perfect example. Slowest time of year. We just had a really, really slow month. Every year, 2 years before this now, I would get stressed out. Like absolutely stressed because.
What would that look like, Rob, from your set of eyes, looking at Scott?
What's that?
What would Scott look like really, really stressed out?
He wouldn't be into what he's doing. Like if he's working, he wasn't productive.
Yeah, absolutely. And so from now working with like Matt, the coach, I had a call with him the other day.
Mindset mastery.
Yeah. And it's been really helpful and really great. And I'm planning on kind of getting Rob involved because I wanted to do the first call just to kind of see how it goes. And that's kind of how we've run with PFC, is that you see me a lot on here and I bring what I believe is kind of relevant to Rob. We talk about it, discuss it, build on it. And it's been super helpful and really helped us calm down, because now we're about to head out of our slow season and in full force into the next 7-8 months of controlled chaos.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Controlled profits.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And we're going to leverage that control, right? Everybody listening, just tweak, small little tweak or insight for you guys. Anybody running a contracting business, mark my words on this. You do not want to go over 80% capacity. I don't care how freaking much the phone's ringing. I don't care how many clients want you and are begging at your doorstep. 80% capacity. Because guys, if you've ever driven a vehicle, most people have. But if you've ever driven a vehicle without any shocks on it, and there's a few potholes, with shocks, it's like, oh, well, it's a bump. Without the shocks, without anything to work with, you are in trouble. You'll break, okay? You'll snap, okay? So I know you guys have learned that as well, but that allows us to give control to chaos that's all around us, right? And these systems significantly help as well. So some other areas that you guys changed, we talked about strategic alliances. Tell us a little bit about, I say on the training and membership site, by the way, so far what we've covered off, guys, we've got, we're talking about strategic alliances that's in the training. And for those of you that aren't part of the family, if you're interested in those types of topics or anything of this nature, just ask away, just say, hey, more info type of thing. So with that being said, strategic alliances, I talk about building a sales team that's not on your payroll. Tell us about how strategic alliances have helped you guys.
So all the contractors, how they.
Yeah,
contractors giving you leads and prospects and business.
Yeah. So the ability to not like marketing is important, but it's not our number one priority. And that's because of all of the contractors and strategic alliances we have. We work, I would say we're up to about 9, almost 10 contractors on the regular basis that call us. They just say, hey, come here next week. We need this. I will call it chaotic job that came up yesterday where a meter base exploded, was a plumber. The client called their plumber because they couldn't get a hold of an electrician. He called us and said, we need you to go over here and take a look. It turned into a 24-hour process of digging a 4-foot deep pit in the middle of winter in Ottawa and getting these people, the power turned back on. But that's a good, profitable job for us, right? And then from there, the next door neighbor came over and wants us to do his in the spring when the ground thaws as a kind of a precautionary matter, but this all comes from strategic alliances. The growth is just, it's hard to measure sometimes, but having not to worry, you know, every contractor is going to call us the next week with a new job.
Yeah, and for those that don't know it, I mean, think about this, like just coming back on your side there, Rob. I mean, nothing worse than somebody going, hey, Rob, I need you and the team to go and do this job. And the client is like, honestly, a gong show, right? Like, how difficult is it working for people that are the wrong types of clients, Rob?
For me, not too hard. I can handle that.
Can you?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, I'll walk away.
Well, see, there you go. Right now you have the ability to walk away, right? How about
No, but even before, I don't. There's a certain moment where I just say it's not worth it.
Mhm.
At some point, it's not worth it, because if I can't deal with them, my guys can't deal with them. So
Absolutely.
sorry.
Yeah.
So Rob's always been very good at filtering fast without
right.
knowing that that's what he was doing. Filtering fast is Rob's always been his strong suit.
Huge. I love it. Have you ever had a client there, and I know the answer to this, you ever had a client that was okay to work with, but then they didn't want to pay you?
Yeah.
That's where we're at.
What's that?
That's where we're at right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So tell us, how frustrating is that? You go out, you do the work, you do the job. They're all happy, eh? When you're getting her done, right? And then you go to collect the money, and how frustrating is that?
It's been a month and a half of frustrations so far, if not longer. And it's not one job; it's multiple jobs. So we're currently cutting ties with that client, and that's.
But I didn't get this old for being impatient. So
right, exactly.
I'm patient. I'll get that money.
That's good. So guys, I want everybody to listen up on this. One of the things that these guys focused in on was, they took their filtering fast. By the way, filtering fast, for all those listening that aren't aware of it, and this is in the training, filtering fast. You want to make sure you do everything possible to not let in Class D deadbeat or Class C can't deal with clients into your company. Hear what they just said, right? Like, filtering fast is in so many ways important for your profits, for your cash flow, right? To protect your team too, right? Because they have to deal with these people. And they've also got to deal with owners that might be stressed out because there's no cash flow because they're not getting paid, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And working with strategic alliances, how does that help, guys? How does that help? Are they able to do any pre-filtering for you?
Yeah, typically, I mean,
yeah,
we'll discuss it with them, and before we go on a job site, it's like, how do we feel about this? Like, is it a job we all kind of want? Do we have any issues that we kind of see? So we've worked with a couple guys that do that already, and it works out well.
I love it. Good. See, this is it, guys. Everybody listening in, people say, I can't afford to hire a salesperson. I'm like, well, who said you had to hire a salesperson? Where am I going to get leads from? Well, why don't you build strategic alliances? Oh, there's no strategic alliances around me. Wait a second. Is there other trades on job sites that you work on? Yes.
Yeah.
I think maybe you might have some similarities, right?
Yeah.
So everybody, don't overcomplicate it, right, guys?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you guys are up to 9 strategic alliances, think it, right? If you're getting even one from half of them, that's huge.
But you also have to be careful of the strategic alliance.
Yes.
You have to filter that too, because
Absolutely.
you do not want to give somebody's name out that you don't trust yourself.
You got it. It. Absolutely. So again, we got to have a process for that, right, Rob?
Yeah.
Right. Totally. So last couple of things here, guys. You had, Scott, you were on the call with Rick. Rick's our sales mastery coach and new to the group. So some of the people in the fam might be like, wait a second. I know there's a sales mastery call with some guy named Rick, but I wasn't on it. Tell us a little bit about this. And it happened just for you today, didn't it? Like this whole mindset and approach to sales. Tell us a little bit about some of the things you've learned.
Yeah. So originally on the call when Rick was on, he discussed, generating leads during slow times, and everyone on the call found, super beneficial because we were all kind of feeling the same pinch at same time. And so when I left that call, I took a couple strategies from it. One was cold calling. The other was like I had thought about a website before then, and it wasn't discussed too much, but we're in process of getting a new website built to match the rest of our branding and our professionalism. So I talked to Rob after that, and we discussed cold calling. And I said, do we have anybody that, you know, we've worked with on a couple of jobs that we don't currently work with on a regular basis? And we kind of left it at that. And then Rob called me the next day and said, hey, I talked with this guy from the last job we did, and he wants to send us some plans. And we've done about 2 or 3 jobs with him now. The next job coming up this summer is like some 1,500 square foot, 2-story addition on a house. He's calling every week now with more and more leads, more jobs. And then one of which, the sales tactic was about kind of offering services, like not pushing too hard on clients, like, oh, I see your light bulb might burn out in 5 years, we should probably change that, but more of services that while we're there make sense. So one in Merrickville with this big extension was a Generac system, because she goes down in the basement to turn her generator on in the pitch black, and could easily trip and fall. Whereas if she had an automatic standby transfer switch, she wouldn't have to go down in the basement. It would just do it all on her own. So that was a great lead. Just today, we're at a job. I noticed that their panel is quite old. A new breaker costs about $125. They're up to, $500-600 just for breakers for us to rewire their kitchen. And turns out that I went outside and looked at their service mast, and it was half hanging off the house. And I said, we should probably fix this for you. I would have never gone out to look in the backyard, but I just wanted to see what it would take to upgrade their service. It started with a 100 amp service upgrade to give them a new panel and repair the mast. It's now a 200 amp full service upgrade. So in a matter of minutes, it shot up by a couple $1,000s.
And in the past, what would have been your mindset? You just go in, get it done, in and out, right?
In and out.
A lot of the times, yeah, because you got to get the job done, get the paycheck, move on to the next one. Whereas now, instead of taking on more jobs, making that sales number at the end of the year, this big giant number that really at the end of the day didn't mean anything, you're building more value and you're getting more out of the current clients you have, slowing down rather than trying to speed off to the next job.
Love it. And Rob, I mean, if you guys hadn't discussed that, if that name didn't come up, I mean, who knows if he ever would have reached out to that guy, right?
Just because he took the talk to, was it Richard? Yes.
Rick.
Or Rick.
Yeah.
And then he mentioned something about the cold calls, and I says, yeah, you know what? I think we can do something like that. And then I'm just starting to go by memory of some of the jobs that I was on where it was contractors we never had, that we never worked with before. And I thought I'd reach out, and yeah, it worked out.
I love it. And if you just look at how much work that guy's giving you, and let's say he, if you look, it's hard to tell, right? Because we're just estimating, right? But you look at what that could be worth in 12 months. What could that be worth to you?
Well, what is it already in a month?
Well, I mean, in a month, we're going to be upwards of almost $25,000-30,000 plus that extension. So by the time August is here, without factoring any other job, he's going to be a $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 client by a year, if a full year went by.
Rob, how long does it make that phone call?
That phone call?
Yeah, was it like an 18-hour phone call?
Yeah. See, I don't text, I dial.
Yeah.
Right. No, I love that though. But how long was it? Honestly, like.
Yeah, no, it was. Oh no,
you
you know what? Because we've already done a job with him. He knew me already. So when I called him and I say, hey, listen, if you got anything coming up, if you really liked working with us, we'd like to service you.
Okay, so just pause. Everybody listening in, you all have past clients. Everybody listening in, it costs nothing to make the call because you've already got the phone. You have the technology. So no blarney, right, guys? True, Rob?
Yeah.
Right. Like moving forward, is that something that you guys are going to be systemizing so that when we have a past client, we can ask that question that you just asked. Somebody listening in, rewind, write it down. It's literally 12 words. It's not more complicated than that.
Yeah.
And that also eased the the impact of firing that Class D client, because we replaced it and then doubled what the return was. So it reduces our stress level, gives us another avenue for revenue, and we're going to be better off in the end. It's we're really looking forward to working with the new client.
Yeah, and look at here, you know, that's just one phone call. I mean, it's not like that guy. I'm not trying to beat a dead horse here, but that guy didn't just reappear, or that guy just didn't all of a sudden appear. The guy's been there for a long time. So everybody listening in, think about, go back to some of these past clients you've had. Okay, I'm not saying go back to every single client. Let's just go with the last 10 clients you've had, and like, have you asked the question? And do you have any touch points where you can touch in on them, you know, where you maybe Rob, you've called some people and they're like, yeah, no, not right now, but a little bit later down the road. And then you map that out, and a little bit later down the road, you call them, right?
Yeah. And the excuse of them knowing that they already have sub trades that work with them is not a good excuse not to call them, because half the people we had previous electricians that just, they needed a reason, or they didn't have the capacity to go out and go find a new trade because they were kind of nervous, right? But you never know what the situation is with some of these other strategic alliances people have, because they may just be, oh, you know what? Yeah, let's give these guys a chance. And then that's your opportunity to kind of move in and take over.
I love it. I'm going to give you guys a little tip. I'm going to give you guys a free coaching tip. You guys ready?
Yeah.
The best time, everybody listening in, let's go out to you guys. The best time, and you might go, Andrew, that doesn't even make sense. I'm going to make it make sense. The best time to go after new clients and build strategic alliances and open up and doors that are cracked and open for you is during the busiest time. That is when your competition is dropping the ball. That is when their quality is going to hell. So set a target, everybody listening in. If there's certain contractors, builders, whoever it is that you're going after that you want to go after, okay? I'm not saying don't do it now. Of course, do it now. But another ideal time to go after them is during hay season. And that is also the best time to replace the Class D deadbeats Class C can't deal with the Class A's. What do you guys say about that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because people who don't have the same systems as you, let's, for instance, aren't able to keep up. They're dropping the ball.
Look at Apollo, for instance, that contract.
Yeah. So we've been able to kind of benefit from people dropping the ball. That's what it's really offering, a better service than other companies.
Well, are you saying that what I just talked about actually happened?
Oh yeah. People not holding up their end of the bargain, walking away, or just the customer saying, you know what, we're done. Let's find somebody new.
I love it. Okay, so last couple of things. You know, on the upselling part, I know we just touched on it, but just elaborate a little bit more on, like, you just talked about you know, this upselling that you did. What was, if somebody was to say to you, Scott, you know, hey, I've got this, you know, this is the type of trade I am. I don't know. I don't think I can upsell. Like, how would you explain to them how to look at things differently?
Don't force it.
Yeah. Like, well,
Don't force it. Don't force it. Explain, like in our field anyways, it's always about trying to make them, first of all, make them feel comfortable. Do your job, make them feel that they can trust you, make them feel, you know, that you're working for them and not trying to make that buck.
Yeah, totally agree.
You know, make them believe in you. And then all of a sudden, it's like, it's really simple. You see something that's unsafe or whatever, you can mention it to them and say, listen, you know, you should maybe have this looked at. You know, I hate to be an alarmist, but you know, this could cause a fire. Look, it's already starting to burn on you here. You know, stuff like that. Or, you know, just show them and walk them through it, talk them through it, but don't force it.
And I know that it is uncomfortable for some people. And that was, for me, it was uncomfortable. I was like, I don't want to seem like I'm too pushy. But then once you take the money out of it, right? You're like, oh, they're going to think I'm trying to sell them $5,000 this or $500 that. They're just trying to get money out of them. Once you actually truly believe in the value of what you're trying to do, That's a huge factor, because then you're not in your own way, right? I was kind of in my own way, like, oh, I don't want to seem like I'm trying to, kind of screw them or just make up work. It's like, no, this is a general benefit that we're offering.
Rick, your timing is bang on, man. So here's Rick, who gave you some of that coaching and insights, correct, Scott?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, awesome. So Rick, can you hear me, or can I hear you? I don't know if he can. I don't know if he's able to hear me right now. Let's see here. Manage. Well, I don't see his mic kicking in yet, but it's awesome that you were able to take that insight. And how quickly were you able to apply upselling this different mindset, you guys?
3 days later, I don't know. Here's the next job that I went to go quote.
Yeah, I think, Rob, you make a really good point. And I think, just adding to that perspective is, if we look at offering up all of our services to clients where we're being ethical, right, where it's valid, right? And here, Rick, I think I'll unmute you. Rick, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, I'm still trying to get my head on straight. Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, perfect. Love it. So, Rick, you gave, Cole's Notes version, you gave some insights on our sales mastery call. So just give it sort of like Cole's Notes version for those listening in that haven't really thought of upselling. What's sort of the mindset behind that?
It's all about doing what's in the customer's best interest. The key word, I haven't invented this, it's looking for low-hanging fruit. It's engaging with the client, doing what they want, leading them down the path that they need to go to make the proper decision. And 9 times out of 10, actually it's closer to 80%. 80% of the time, clients can turn to you and say, what do you think is best? So you're the expert, you're the authority, you have to tell them what they need to do, but using a process all along the way by asking questions, understanding who they are, and getting to know that client. You can't just compete on price alone. We're at the point where anybody who's part of PFC really doesn't care about their pricing. You're going to be more expensive than anybody else out there, and you don't care. You don't care what your competition's doing. And by building the client engagement, and it always comes back to value. You have to give value.
Yes.
Value is huge. And when you compare, one of the things that you can do is, if you're going through an estimate with a client and they're sitting at the table and saying, well, this guy's going to put in a furnace for me for $6,000. Well, that's great, but did he do a proper sizing? Did he look at the ductwork? Did he see that your indoor air quality isn't upward? And you need to compare apples to apples. You got to make sure that the quotes are bang on. Don't be afraid to say, yeah, I'm going to be more money, but I'm going to give you this, this, and this.
Service.
Same goes for GCs. If you're going to be doing all kinds of other stuff that the other GCs aren't doing, you need to point that out, and you need to say, yeah, okay, Chuck in the Truck is going to do it for $30,000. I'm doing it for 40, but you're getting all this along with it. And I've been around for 10 more years than this other guy. Where is this other guy? Where's he been? Where's he come from? Where's he going?
Yeah, I love it. And you see, the thing is that, you guys, every listening in, we all, I think most of us that are in the trades, we don't want to push things. Rob, you said it, right? You don't want to push things on people. You don't want to, we're not here to try and create some sort of scam. We got to believe in ourselves, like you say, Rick. And you've said it already. I'll just say it again. You guys got to understand, everybody listening in, your clients don't know what you know. That's why you're there, right? They don't know if you're an insulation provider, that the other guy that's $2,000 cheaper is not going to be sealing the walls properly, and that there's going to be mold in freaking 6 months, right? It's your job, guys, to provide value. On the electrical side, same thing, right? I mean, it's life and death. It's a lot of the things that we do in the trades is either life and death short term, or could be illnesses long term, whatever those things are, right? So I love the mindset of value, right? So okay, that's great. So we're gonna start wrapping things up. Anything else you guys wanted to share as far as Rob or Scott in your journey here of now becoming profitable, right? You went from minus $33,000 in the hole in October to now you know, you got 25 grand or more going in the bank. You guys are now paying yourselves. You know, that's not even including that. Anything else you'd say to people listening in?
I think the work-life balance was a huge factor for us from the beginning. We had agreed that the number one thing to us was our families, and structuring the business in a way that that was going to be possible. And I think we really have hit our kind of stride now in that. You know, Rob is able to pick up his wife from downtown most days, and that's a big thing, right? Because they've got the one vehicle, and so it works out that he can pick her up. For me, I've told you about this, and I don't mind being open about it, but like, we've had a complicated pregnancy with my wife, and she needs about, I don't know, 6 times more ultrasounds than the average person. So they're at any hour of the day. So I'm able to go with her to the appointments, make her feel comfortable, make sure everything's taken care of. And without that, I mean, 2020 is a busy year. I'm moving in a month. I've had to do stuff with that, sell a house, the whole thing. And so it's nice to have a partner like Rob, where we have each other's backs at all times. It's not a partnership, it's a family. It's become a family situation.
And it's not just between the partners either. We actually extend that to our employees. The same thing. If they have a family issue or they need to do something, we don't hesitate. They just take the time and we give it to them. Go do whatever you need to, and we pick up and give them the hours and do whatever we need to do. We help each other. And I think that's why they want to stay working for us.
I love it. And Rob, what does that and Scott have anything to do with putting structure and systems in place and being profitable? Honestly, what does it have to do with that?
They're not stressed, for one thing. You know, the employee, our guys are not genuinely stressed every day, because we've been in that not that long ago. We were in that situation where day to day was like, oh my God, what are we, how are we going to get this done? Why are we doing this? They get it, they understand it, and they seem genuinely happy and comfortable, and that's all because we knew how we wanted to be treated, and that's what we brought into the company.
I worked for too many people that sent you out on a job, and you had to be there right from the moment you started the job to ending the job, and no backup, no nothing. You know, didn't help you out by getting material for you. You had to go get it and come back, and before the day was over, you were there 17 hours. I will not let that happen with my guys.
Okay, so I'm gonna
back each other up.
I love it, and this is just gonna be like really quick. And Rick, you know, just pop in your thoughts on this. One of the other major pain points, and I know you guys aren't in like a major hiring phase of this, but you know, first of all, retaining top talent. You know, retaining the team you have. So many people come to us and like, I need help hiring people, and I'm like, okay, so let's start looking at your current team. You didn't hear me. We need to hire people. No, I heard you. Rick, how important is it that the first place we start is building and retaining an A team?
Well, it's interesting. One of the things that I picked up, I was away on a conference. One of the things that I picked up on is casting a vision, and people will leave and come another company come to work for you for opportunity. You may be paying exactly the same as what your competitor's paying, but if they don't see your vision, if you don't have an idea that you say you want to go to $20 million in sales, which is a huge goal for a lot of companies. But if you have this vision, and you can even go so far as to have an org chart up on the wall and saying, I know there's other guys who do it, they have an org chart and they leave these spaces blank and it says your name here, which means that they see this huge vision that you've got in mind for the company. It's like, well, holy shit, I want to be a part of what's happening here. Totally. I could stay working at this other company and make decent money, and I can go with you and still make the same amount of money, but there's a much better opportunity there. And if you share with your key people, or all of your people, you should be sharing with everybody what your vision is. Like, this is a great ride that we're going to go on. Who wants to come with me? Mm-hmm. And you can keep those people, and you can start attracting more. You're not stealing your competition's top people, they're just seeing there's a better opportunity down the road. So I'm going to go there. It could be a great guy that they're working for, but if you have a better vision than your competition does, it's huge. And they called it casting a vision. So if you cast this vision, people are going to buy in. They want to be part of something great. They really do.
Well, and if you back that, like what these guys are doing with systems, then people know it's not just, well, here's this vision. It's like, wait a second, contractors hang with contractors. We all know that, right? I mean, and when a guy's standing beside another buddy and he's like, one guy says, man, what a freaking gong show it is. Like you said, Rob, right? Like they're the Robs back in the day. Man, I just worked 17 hours, freaking didn't get any material, had to go get it myself. And the other guy goes, wow, man, how's things going with you? Oh, things are great. I mean, I was able to go to my, wife's ultrasound. What? Yeah, man, no, we worked this many hours and I get paid this and we got this type of environment. It's like, whoa, what? That's what I want. So guys, everything that you're doing, so we're sort of wrapping this up, is feeding your next step. What do you guys see, just snapshot of what do you see as the future? Where, what do you, I'm not saying you need to give me exactly, but what do you guys see as the future? Where do you see yourself going?
Go ahead.
Well, we were on a call yesterday with you guys, and it kind of made me realize some things. I made a comment on there about the fact that we always have been talking about hiring, like adding, but making sure what we already have is being used to its full potential. We know we want to grow. It's inevitable because both of us aren't going to be working on the tools all the time. And we could gain that much more ability to take more profitable jobs with another technician. So we want to grow, whether that's now or in a year and a half when Matt becomes a licensed electrician, and we can then hire another apprentice and kind of start the cycle. It's something we have to evaluate every probably 3 to 6 months, but not make any crazy decisions. But we see a 5-6 man company in the future, and we're not going to be a $2 million company or whatever. We're comfortable with where we're at, but we want to see the growth still.
I love it. Well, again, you're like on yesterday's financial, KPI mastery call. It's the focus here, guys. It's called profit for contractors for a reason. It's not called sales for contractors. Profits. I don't really care how much sales you have. It means nothing if you're not profitable, right? $12 million country, $12 million business, in the whole minus 33 is minus 33 with a lot of stress and hassle, right? You got to be profitable first. That's the first thing. So, optimize before you maximize, everybody listening in. And for what would you share with people that are like, because you were in that place where you weren't even profitable and you ended up joining Profit for Contractors. What would both you guys say to people listening in on this going like, I don't know if I should raise my hand and I don't know if it might be something for me. What would you say to them?
You'd be crazy.
Rob, what would you say?
I remember when we first talked to you guys, and then Scott came up and he says, "Oh yeah, it's going to cost us this. We're not paying ourselves. We're not making that much money." But since we've done it, that's just a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Gross.
It's helped immensely. So it's nothing.
Not to mention the greatest icing on the cake, and we're not going to mention any names or companies, but we once had an accountant that we didn't realize was not doing what they were supposed to, and PFC helped, guide that and let us open our eyes to it. And I've posted a couple times.
That saved us
thousands of dollars. It allowed us to understand the numbers.
Wait a second. That's the same company that I fired.
That's right.
That's interesting, right? Yeah. So guys, make sure you get yourselves a good accountant and bookkeeper. I know for those of you that have just joined PFC, make sure you book in with our, KPI mastery man, Bob, and get that session set up so that you know where your financials are at. whether you're still going to go with your accountant or bookkeeper. And for those of you that aren't part of the family, like guys, you got to find an accountant and bookkeeper that is going to do the work that they need to do, that they're going to give accurate data. Your numbers are the language of business. Hey, Rick, would you agree?
Absolutely. Know your numbers.
Yeah, man. And if your numbers are not accurate, if you don't know, even as a business owner, and people go, what are you trying to make me an accountant? No, I'm trying to make you a business owner. You don't need to be an accountant or a bookkeeper, right, guys?
Yeah, we went from October to December with our break even, thinking it was correct. Turns out it wasn't, and we just needed to get on the right track. And now we're off and running. So
awesome. Okay, so guys, great. I love it. Anything else you guys would say? Like, should they raise their hand? Should they ask for help, or what? What do you think?
Yeah, the community is the best thing. It helps. As I say, some days I scroll through there not even knowing that I should be thinking about something, and then I see a post or I see someone ask a question. I'm like, oh, I never thought of that. Could we use that, or could we do this? Yeah. It's been great.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I just saying thank you guys.
Hey, no problem, man. I love having guys like you guys as part of this family. Rick being our sales expert, Bob being our financial expert, and we got Matt on the mindset master. I mean, guys, it's not like we need to surround ourselves with the people that are the masters of their space, so that you can master your business. And that's it. You can't be everything. You can't know it all. And my last little tip is this: raise your hand, ask for help. Otherwise, you're never going to know what help is actually there. Because I want you guys to leapfrog like these guys have done decades of days. Don't try and figure it out on your own. That's freaking a hard, painful, sacrificial way for yourself, your partners, your employees, and worst off is your family, right? When you're right.
And I gotta give a shout out to Liam, because behind the scenes he has been amazing. Some days I'm stressed out about certain things, and I'll text him or ask him a question. He put me on with kind of guided me towards Matt, and it's been great. So we have to owe a lot to Liam too.
Yeah, sure. Liam has done, so everybody on here, Liam is like my right hand, and he's very incredibly gifted. The help that he gives you guys, the response, his ability, his insights to see things. By the way, fellow contractor, go figure, right? What's going on? What's the common denominator here?
Everybody's been there and done that. Yeah, they understand.
Right, exactly, guys. So thank you, Liam. Thank you, Rick, Matt, Bob, the whole team. Thank you guys for sharing and being so abundant with your sharing. And anybody have any questions in the Champion CEO group, just post. If you're struggling trying to find some of these tools we talked about, there was like 4 or 5 tools from strategic alliances, negotiating with your suppliers, Trello boards, cash flow forecasting, all that kind of stuff, guys. Dig into it, watch it, and that's it. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. Thanks so much. Later.
Yeah.